There are some strange events happening in Antarctica. You can sense that something isn't right. You can feel it from thousands of distant miles. But what exactly is taking place on the frozen continent that has the rest of the world worried? We can begin with a giant crack, some 70 miles long, that has developed at the South Pole, which threatens to destroy the Halley 6 research station, which is now being relocated as the crack continues to grow. This image, taken by scientists from NASA's Ice Bridge mission, shows a rift in Larsen Sea, an ice shelf off the Antarctic Peninsula. When the crack eventually spreads across the entire ice shelf, it will create an iceberg the size of the state of Delaware, roughly about 2,500 square miles. The crack is 300 feet wide and plunges down about 1/3 of a mile, all the way through the ice to the ocean below. The rift is fairly new, and the growth of the crack just recently took place, according to the latest satellite imagery. Larsen Sea is Antarctica's fourth largest ice shelf, and it holds back the land-based glaciers just behind it. Once the ice shelf goes, those slow-flowing glaciers have one less barrier in their journey toward the sea. The eventual calving of the Delaware-sized sheet of ice would remove between 9 and 12% of Larsen Sea's surface area and may lead to the crumbling of the entire ice shelf. What is entirely strange about this is that one section of the continent is accumulating ice, whereas the other half is steadily melting. This event is certain to ignite the climate change global warming debate. There is a mysterious crater that has formed on the eastern end of the continent on the ice shelf. The crater is actually a collapsed lake that developed due to ice melt, an ominous sign of what is happening on the continent. So something is taking place at the South Pole, and climate change alone cannot explain it. Maybe we should have considered giving credence to the predictions of the renowned clairvoyant Edgar Cayce, in which case the signs may have come much earlier. Logic would tell you that scientists have known about what is coming, their voices silenced by the almighty dollar and by those who are empowered to rule over the world. Let's step back for just a moment to the early 20th century, when American mystic Edgar Cayce began using his clairvoyant powers to uncover details about our planet's hidden past. What Cayce had envisioned did not bode well for humanity. He stated that the world in due order would change, resulting in a world beyond recognition. In his vision, in which records were kept of his spoken words, he stated the following: "The earth will be broken up in many places. The early portion will see a change in the physical aspect of the west coast of America. There will appear open waters in the northern portions of Greenland. There will be seen new lands of the Caribbean Sea. South America will be shaken from the uppermost portion to the end. And in the Antarctic, off Tierra del Fuego, there will be land and a strait with rushing waters." If you can envision his words, then the massive crack that has recently been discovered will at some point in time reach the sea. And when it does, it will separate Larsen Sea from the rest of the ice shelf, creating an ice mass of some 6,500 square miles. The implications of such an event are enormous, as Cayce states in his vision. Then there is first the breaking up of some conditions in the South Sea, and those as apparent as the sinking or rising of that which is almost opposite. or in the Mediterranean and the Etna area, then we may know it has begun. This is yet another indication that the Antarctic ice is melting and that sea levels will undoubtedly rise. So it now seems that the predictions of Edgar Cayce may be coming to fruition, just as he had envisioned so many years ago. Although there are restrictions on what can be accessed from this location, satellite images do offer a glimpse into what is happening on the frozen continent at this time, as well as secrets into its past. Startling images of a pyramid, or three, sticking out above the ice have been shared online, raising questions about the possibility of man-made structures and ancient civilizations that may have existed at a past time. So have secrets of our past hidden for generations suddenly been uncovered? Or are we just grasping at straws while capturing images of natural edifices that resemble pyramids? Whatever secrets the continent may hold, things are changing rapidly on the frozen continent. That brings us to another question that has recently sparked a great deal of interest on the internet. Why did Secretary of State John Kerry make an unprecedented journey to the South Pole, with what was rumored to be vague concerns about a climate change issue? What was their real motive for going there? Was it to observe the giant crack in the ice shelf? Or maybe to observe and report back to Washington about the newly presumed discovery of ancient structures? Or was it something even more ominous? One can always speculate, but until the facts are known or become public, there will no doubt be a great deal of uncertainty about the reasons for his recent visit and what implications, if any, it holds for the future of our planet and its inhabitants. Then there is the matter involving former astronaut Buzz Aldrin and his recent visit to this area. He was medically evacuated from the continent a few weeks ago due to a sudden illness, in which afterwards he tweeted a totally bizarre message in which he warned that the Earth is in danger. It is evil itself. He then promptly deleted the tweet, which has included a photo of the pyramid-shaped structure. So the question that has all of us puzzled concerns his ominous statement in which it seems apparent that he knows something, that there is more to the story than what meets the eye. If there were secrets to be found there, it could really change the way we understand the history of our planet and the progress of the human species. There is yet another mystery that has recently been reported from this region. It has to do with strange ground-level events recently detected by the South Pole Neutron Monitor. You may remember that back on December 27, 2004, a gamma-ray burst occurred that was so powerful that it bounced off of the moon and lit up the Earth's upper atmosphere. It was brighter than anything ever detected from beyond our solar system. The flash was detected just one day after the massive Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami that killed hundreds of thousands on December 26, 2004. Now it seems that another massive cosmic ray burst is on its way to hit Earth sometime after Christmas. There appears to be a number of events or actions recently taken that provide signals to such an event taking place. There was the October executive order given by President Obama, coordinating efforts to prepare the nation for extreme space weather events. Shortly thereafter was the unexplained South Pole visit of U.S. government and space agency representatives. On December 8th, there was the mysterious vibration which was detected around the world, and although the vibration looked like a classic earthquake, there was no earthquake at the time of the event, and no source to explain it. The enormous crack spreading across Antarctica has potentially devastating consequences for the continent and the entire globe. but now a South Pole neutron monitor detected multiple ground-level events, but once again with no source to establish a cause. We might wonder whether the ongoing strange events around the world, and in particular in Antarctica, have something to do with a powerful wave that has the potential to cause large devastation to the Earth. As showing in the Global Satellite Data Indicator beginning on December 17th, an unprecedented wave of energy was registered across the globe, which was unassociated with either solar or man-made activity, which means that its source is unknown. It could be that the anticipated cosmic burst of energy may never materialize. But then again, no one knows for sure if the peculiar events that are happening around the world can be associated with space weather events. They could just as easily be attributed to events taking place in our solar system. This could also explain why White House and space agency officials recently visited Antarctica. If something catastrophic is approaching our planet from the far reaches of our solar system, then where better to detect the incoming system than from a location best suitable for observation? Whatever may be going on at the South Pole, it is being kept a secret and will remain a mystery for most of us. What is that huge bright object located above the horizon in the southwestern sky during sunset? Have you observed its movement? It remains above the horizon even after sunset, and has been located in the same position for many weeks. Some dismiss this as Venus, but if you pay close attention, you will notice that it continues to draw closer and is becoming more luminescent. Then there is the question of why it is appearing above the horizon for a considerable period of time. If this is Venus, as some have said, then why is it looking and behaving so strangely as it moves across the horizon? Now, I recently received a series of images from an amateur astronomer who has been following the movement of this planetary object across the southwestern sky for many months now. The object is unknown, as it does not appear in the sky chart of celestial entities. According to the information I received, the object is located between Mars and Venus, moving perpendicular to the ecliptic. And the coordinates as of June 15th are listed here. Whatever happens to be out there, it now appears to be getting closer, moving more rapidly, and becoming more defined, as this video capture would indicate. Now feast your eyes on this strange sunset from Brazil, captured just a few weeks ago. The video shows 3 separate light sources in the sky prior to dusk. Notice how the crowd of onlookers are gazing in amazement at this mysterious anomaly as they capture still images of what they are observing. I just received this image today from Milton, Florida, that was taken during sunrise on December 1st, 2016. Not only has the camera picked up the presence of 2 suns, but if you look carefully at the yellow vehicle in the parking lot, you will notice that there are also two sun reflections, the larger sun seen on the left side of the trunk and the smaller sun towards the middle of the roof. Both reflections perfectly coincide with the positioning of the objects in the sky. You may have heard that there are strange humming sounds emanating from the heavens that have been heard in many parts of the world. There are many who now believe that the sounds of trumpets are caused by the approach of the Nibiru Nemesis system. In one of my previous videos, I talked about the trumpet sounds heard over Jerusalem just recently, which were followed by the formation of a strange circular cloud in the sky shown in this image. That video drew the attention of many of you who viewed it, referring to it as the circle of fire. The sounds of the trumpets are once again being heard, this time from Alexandria, Egypt on December 15th. Listen to the sounds of what is coming. I think that most of you will agree that we are living in astonishing times, a time in which every day brings us new objects of interest along with new objects for anxiety, and a time for uncertainty, but also enlightenment and a sense of anticipation for what lies ahead. I want to express my wishes for a joyous and blessed Christmas to all of our many subscribers. I sincerely hope that you and those who are close to you find comfort and peace of mind during this special time of the year.
Called our newsroom or sent us messages on our Facebook page saying that you heard it. People in Boyle and Mercer counties reported a loud boom that shook their homes last night. Emergency crews investigated but couldn't find any sign of an explosion.
He said was he sent me an article about the explosion.
Felicia Kelly and her daughter Michaela say they like the quiet, peaceful farmland area around Parksville in western Boyle County.
This is as loud as it gets out here.
So you can imagine the surprise when that tranquility was suddenly broken Thursday night.
Sounded like a loud, like an explosion or something. I mean, it wasn't, it was kind of different because it was just kind of a dull boom.
Yeah, it was more of a sound. It was a boom, you know, it was a loud explosion type.
The Danville 911 Center received at least 15 phone calls. It was apparently heard in neighboring Mercer, Lincoln, and Garrett counties as well. There's been a lot of theories floating around as to what exactly it was. The prevailing one, police are telling me, possibly a meteor shower and the resulting sonic boom from that.
At 5, that section of Vasquez Canyon Road that buckled several days ago is still closed to traffic. But as Eyewitness News reporter Annabelle Munoz reports, the unstable road is now attracting the curious.
Vasquez Canyon Road in Santa Clarita has become quite the eyesore over the past few days. Professor Jeremy Boyce said, quote, "There was no big rainstorm that triggered this. There was no big earthquake that triggered this. The long arcing up and down street grew 15 feet in 3 days, which has completely stumped local geologists."
I just don't understand it. You know, like I say, I've lived here all these years and I've never seen anything really like this.
The Oklahoma Corporation Commission wants companies to close 2 wells and cut back at 23 others after a series of earthquakes today. It happened near Cherokee, which is about 2.5 hours west of Tulsa. The U.S. Geological Survey says people in 13 states say they felt that earthquake. 4 more earthquakes happened in that same area today and 2 others near Crescent, Oklahoma.
Good evening, everyone. The New Madrid fault caused quite a stir this morning and throughout the afternoon. You may have felt it. There were 12 earthquakes reported today, all centered near Lilburn, Missouri. One man working in the area says all the rumbling woke him up.
I was laying in bed and it hit, and I thought it done broke the bed down. I thought the bed done broke completely down with as hard as it hit. And it wasn't too long later, and we had another hard thud.
But so many quakes so close together is a bit unusual.
Some folks in Schuylkill County are feeling a bit rattled after something that felt like an explosion shook the floors and windows of their homes.
But Friday night, something shattered the peace and quiet.
I was just sitting here on the couch, and it was around 9:30, and just a big boom, like it's almost like a quarter stick, and the house shook and the windows shook.
Sterners weren't the only family to hear their windows rattle. Reports of explosions were phoned into the state police from across southern Schuylkill County.
If you haven't noticed lately, nature is speaking out to us. It appears that our planet is spiraling out of control, influenced by cosmic forces which are having a profound effect upon the inner core of the Earth, and thus affecting the Earth's magnetic field, allowing harmful radiation to permeate the Earth's atmosphere and subsequently endangering the health of the Earth's inhabitants. It's what we would call the domino effect, in which one concrete object is responsible for the collapse of all other objects in its path. Let's consider some major events that recently took place that should stoke your curiosity about a world that systematically shows many of the signs of being on the edge of collapse. Earthquakes are one of the major events making news in recent days. As a matter of fact, in the past 30 days, there have been dozens of significant earthquakes along the Ring of Fire. On December 9th, two enormous quakes on opposite sides of the Pacific made headlines across the globe. The first was a 6.5 quake off the coast of California, followed later in the day by a massive 7.8 quake in the Solomon Islands. These are just the latest examples of increased activity along the outer perimeter of the Pacific Basin. According to the Washington Post, the historic earthquake in the Solomon Islands was determined as an 8.0 by the USGS, but was later downgraded to a 7.8. This was followed by 20 large aftershocks ranging in size from 4.8 to 6.5. Of even greater concern was the indication that this event shook the entire planet to some extent, since monitoring stations around the world experienced strange vibrations as one seismic event after another shook the Solomon Islands, similar to the domino effect that I just mentioned. Now take a look at the magnitude of the Solomon Islands earthquake shown in this surveillance videotape as people try to escape harm's way. Prior to this big event, an event in similarity occurred off the coast of California. Those living in the area reported the ground was rippling like waves on the water. A recent study by federal, state, and academic researchers indicates that the San Andreas Fault could soon unzip all at once, unleashing a singular catastrophe along its 800-mile stretch, which should cause alarm bells to start ringing in our collective subconscious. As it turns out, the San Andreas Fault is way overdue for an earthquake of historic proportions. The director of the Southern California Earthquake Center has said that the fault is wound like a tight spring, locked, loaded, and ready to go. Just one of several trouble spots in the seismic zone known as the crust of our planet has become increasingly unstable, and far too many people have become complacent and have been lulled into a false sense of security about these disasters simply because they have not witnessed them personally. But when it does happen, and every indication is that it will forever change the lives of millions of people in a single moment. I have spoken volumes about the severity and serious implications of major flooding across our planet. It has become a global crisis. The warming of our oceans does play a part in these weather-related disasters. As the Earth's inner core continues to heat up, it causes the oceans to warm, resulting in consequential melting of the ice sheets, thus leading to more ocean acidity and the massive die-off of coral reefs and marine life, as the ocean's conveyor belt slows considerably, creating drastic changes in our weather. It's all a part of that domino effect that I mentioned. But why is our Earth's core at the root of this global problem, rather than greenhouse gases, which NASA and the scientific community insists is the main culprit in these drastic Earth changes? Isn't it in our best interest to examine every possible aspect of a particular problem? Isn't it conceivable that there could be a magnetic disturbance from beyond that is somehow influencing the behavior of our planet's inner core? It certainly is within the realm of possibility, and given everything that we know and understand about the changes now occurring on the planet, it has become more conceivable. I've experienced rampant flooding firsthand this year, and have been able to tell my story about its devastating effects. But there are many stories similar to mine. They are just as devastating and as painful as what I encountered. Take a look at this incredible footage of the December flooding in Malaga, Spain. It tells a story of just how vulnerable we are to these disasters, irregardless of our surroundings. If the Earth's core is under the influence of a magnetic disturbance, it will exert great pressure within the Earth's mantle. This overexerted core can lead to another form of devastation that could have long-term implications for the planet. The recent increase in volcanic activity should be a major concern for all life on Earth. Already in 2016, there have been dozens of volcanoes erupting within a very short time frame, and the numbers are increasing as the year comes to an end. What does this imply? That something has to give from below the surface of the Earth. If any number of volcanoes were to erupt in unison or in sequence, the ash cloud emitted into our atmosphere could spread quickly across the globe by the prevailing winds and begin to block out the light from our sun, thus reducing global temperatures, resulting in what is known as a volcanic winter. If that were to happen, crops and vegetation would begin to wither and die, leading to massive crop failure, and ultimately to global famine with serious consequences for human civilization. The inhabitants of planet Earth then become the victims of the domino effect. We only have to journey back to the early 1800s to realize that the impossible can happen again, and with much greater consequences for humanity. Here is an incredible video capture of an immense eruption on Mount Rinjani in Indonesia in October of this year. It illustrates just how powerful these explosions can be and how easily we can be caught off guard as to their destructive abilities. There have been a couple of major developments with the Nibiru Nemesis system that I am examining at this time and hope to share with you in the coming week. But there is one major development that happened just recently that has garnered a great deal of attention in the past few days. On the 6th of December, an enormous fireball lit up the skies over both Norway and Siberia, virtually turning night into day. The meteor, which burnt in the atmosphere before hitting the ground, was witnessed by locals as it shook buildings and set off alarms. One witness said, "We saw a flash, and in about 2 minutes our houses vibrated and we heard thunder, and car alarms were going off." Another witness said there was a sudden luminescence. There was a huge meteor flying above the mountain. It had a tail. Frankly, I was scared. I thought that it was a bomb. Take a look at the intensity of this meteor just before it crashed to Earth. It is absolutely astonishing. Earth-shattering meteors and asteroids are lighting up our atmosphere on a consistent basis as the debris field of the approaching planetary system draws ever closer to the Earth. Those who witnessed this celestial event were awestruck by what they had seen and heard from the skies on this particular evening. Whatever is approaching, be it a large comet, asteroid, or planetary system, its effects are being felt across our planet. What we are witnessing in these times will only intensify as the celestial body draws nearer. I'll be presenting some new information that I recently received in the coming week or before the Christmas holiday. So please stay tuned to our YouTube